Off with Susan Hutt speaking to several issues, sewers, R2 and T2, I believe.
Okay, good morning. My main focus is going to be on the Jobean sewers right now. And I would like to make a quick comment about how I just love the local Sun. It seems to have become a government-controlled newspaper now that we have Mr. Gleason working as our communications person. This says the sewer expansion project is due to documented pollution in abutting waters from existing failing septic tanks. Today's article in the paper says it all. I emailed each one of you and asked you if the septic maintenance program was still in effect. Apparently, it disappeared in 2012. I don't know why. Apparently, the government has decided it would be better not to maintain septic systems so that you can get your government-controlled sewers and more money from the people. I maintain still, and I have scientific evidence, and I've presented many reports that say that septic systems are better for the environment than sewers, where you have massive spills, you dump partially cleaned water in the harbor, and if you maintain your septics, you don't have a problem with them if they are properly designed so that you have proper separation between the mean high water table. So that's how that happened. In East Jobean and West Jobean, many of the properties there are vacant most of the year. The reason that you're deciding you need sewers there is because the septic systems have been neglected for decades. I have been door to door in that neighborhood. There are a couple yards that you would never want to walk across because you can see where the depression is from where their failing septic system is. I would probably drive through the ground and end up in a septic tank if I walked there. I'd like to know what percent of the sewer design is being designed by Charlotte County utility engineers and what percent is being designed by Giffords and Websters. I find it entertaining and maddening that you've hired Government Services Group, which is a group that you pay for to teach you how to take action against the taxpayers and people so that you can't get sued by us for taking actions for things that we don't want. How long did it take to come up with this special benefit assumptions that you've made? The same could be said for maintenance of septic systems and lower costs. Boys and Girls Club, I say let's keep the same plan, use all the property for the Family Services Center, none of this nurses' dormitory and changing what the people have already voted for. The churches have no business paying any non-ad valorem taxes. Neither do other untaxed businesses. Thank you.
Next, Lynette Hank.
Okay, I'm Lynette Hank. I am a board member at Community Life Center in Port Charlotte. I've also been a resident of Charlotte County for over 15 years, raised my family here. I just want to, again, reiterate my support for waiving taxes, or however you want to handle what you want to call a fire tax, for churches and nonprofits. I really believe as a community we can do a lot together, and I think that needs to be factored in and considered. So I just wanted to mention that.
Next, Dave Kesselring speaking to R2, T2, F3, and P1.
Good morning, Commissioners. I don't know if you got those petitions, but I just had some petitions signed from people that agree with what I'm about to say and some of this. This doesn't work. I can't hear a thing back there. Something's wrong with this. Something's wrong with the thing. Can you turn it up? Well, yeah, but I couldn't hear anyone else talking. But I'll talk louder. Okay. R2, requiring churches to pay taxes endangers free expression of religion and violates the free exercise clause of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, Florida Constitution. There shall be no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting or penalizing the free exercise thereof. By taxing churches, the government is empowered to penalize or shut them down if they don't pay up. The U.S. Supreme Court confirmed this in McCulloch versus Maryland when it stated the power to tax involves the power to destroy. Do you understand your oath? T2, family services. I don't support more governmental welfare, nor do I support special interest projects. The government is only here to protect our rights, not to take the fruits of our labor and create a bunch of huge, expensive projects that do not affect all of us, including this project, now close to double the amount that was incorrectly or fraudulently estimated. That being said, our money that could have gone to charity has already been taken forcefully. So housing nonprofits might be a better idea than most of the other ideas for spending more money. Please rethink the costly reorganization of Human Services Department and stick to the sales tax promises. The sales tax projects don't mention reorganizing the Human Services Department. The commissioners promised to do a certain thing in return for the sheep voluntarily increasing their own taxes. I simply encourage the commissioners to keep their promise. If you don't keep this promise, which was a carrot dangled in front of the sheep, it'll be obvious this was a direct and blatant deception of the people just to get more of their money. If you don't do something close to what you promised, you'll be risking your chances of successfully manipulating the sheep next time sales tax comes around. Please start the Family Services Project soon. F3. This agenda item description might be a little deceptive. I could be mistaken, but the letter from the sheriff first asked for $25,000 to pay legal bills incurred in forfeiture cases. For those who don't know, civil forfeiture cases proceed under the legal fiction that cash, cars, or homes can be guilty. Because these cases are civil actions, property owners receive few, if any, of the protections that criminal defendants enjoy. To make matters worse, when law enforcement agencies take and sell your property, they frequently get to keep all the proceeds for their own use. This gives agencies a direct financial incentive to police for profit by seizing and forfeiting as much property as possible. The sheriff, with his already huge budget, has already bragged about these forfeitures. No one in America should lose his or her property to law enforcement. They shouldn't profit for taking property. Please understand your oath.
Okay, next, Andrew Sheets, speaking to R2.
Yes, my name is Andy. I'm a reporter for Cop Watch. A lot of you guys know that here. So I fight for freedom, the Constitution, and, I always grew up, I didn't, thought that churches weren't taxed. And friends of mine turned me on to the fact that we are taxing here, and then they turned me on to the fact that out of 3,000 counties in America, I believe we're the only one, almost, okay, two or three. That is unbelievable, unreal. A church can do way better with the money than what government can. I also have to admit, I got to blame the churches too, because when we first came to America, the churches were the ones that woke up the congregation and made us free. In fact, to the point where the British police used to kill pastors when they saw them because they were waking up the congregation. So I did not know we were supposed to put everything that we wanted to talk about on the agenda. That means I can talk about forfeiture or no?
Forfeiture?
Yeah, the forfeiture that Dave just...
On the today's agenda.
Okay. Then yes, I totally agree with what Dave Kesselring said. This is completely un-American, unconstitutional, absolutely giving the incentive to our sheriff to steal your property, your money. He bragged about it when he was running for office. You guys already know who I am. That's why I started Cop Watch 5 years ago, because this is completely out of control. And you guys can say yes or no if you allow this stuff. There's somebody on this panel that brags he's a constitutionalist, but yet we're violating the Constitution left and right. This isn't America, man. Over the years, I've had so many stories of people telling me what's happened with our sheriff here and how they literally have to leave because of the oppression. I mean, just constant harassment. Even me, I've got 17 cameras on my house. I've got cameras in the car. There's cameras in the bag because of all the crap that's happened to me. You need to tell them to slow down. I mean, get back to the Constitution. Actually, honestly, I defund them, whatever.
Just stay on the agenda items, please.
Thank you.
Sir. Folks, I just want to remind you, the Board of County Commissioners has a set of rules. Clapping is prohibited, okay? So I just wanted to let you know. David Myers, he's speaking to the sewer MSBU P1 and R2.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm here again to speak out about the MSBU and Jobean, and particularly two things I find egregious in the resolution. One, the statement that says the existing on-site wastewater disposal systems utilized by the properties throughout the MSBU have been determined to be a threat to the ecosystem due to contamination and pollution measured in the Mayaca River. Accordingly, it is necessary to install and provide central wastewater collection and treatment services to the properties in the entire MSBU. Well, time and time again, people have brought here before you evidence that this is not true. There may be small instances where some leakage has occurred, but I continually see articles in the newspapers throughout Florida that has been sent to me about large wastewater spillage from sewer treatment plants and broken pipes and so forth. And this is direct sewage flowing into the streets, flowing into the waterways, and into our estuaries. So to use this is like the groundwork for all the other sewer expansion projects that the county wants to do in other areas. To just blanket declare something is polluting and therefore you got to get rid of it. The other thing about this, in your background paper on the program, you're hiding the fact that the assessment for almost everybody in Jobean in this MSBU will be over $22,000, close to $23,000, by saying it's only $11,500 per ERC. Well, there's only 19 by your own paper here that aren't 2 ERCs. Everybody else is 2 ERCs. So the cost is not going to be $11,500 per house. It's going to be $23,000, whatever it is, over $23,000. So that over 20 years, of course, is not, as they're saying in here, trying to, console everybody. It's only going to be $500 and something a year. It's going to be over $1,000 a year in additional taxes on every person in Jobean, excluding the 19. Okay. The other thing was the churches being taxed. Churches do not produce income. They provide a benefit to the community. To tax them, and I believe it is unconstitutional, the separation of church and state, and you are penalizing churches by taking away money that charities, we all know, you all know, charities use money better than the government. Thank you.
Mr. Myers. Next, Robert McDuffie, also speaking to R2.
Thank you for the privilege and honor of speaking to you today. My name is Robert McDuffie. I've spoken to several of you commissioners individually, and the ones that preceded you as well. And I just have 3 points that I want to make concerning this issue. As it's already been stated, I reiterate what David Myers said and David Kesserling, that the historical precedent that has been set repeatedly multiple occasions is that churches are immune and exempt from all taxation from any government authority, because the Lord Jesus Christ himself is the authority over the church, regardless of your persuasion, denomination, or belief system. The government is not the sovereign over the church. It's Jesus Christ. Second point I want to make is that I travel the United States all over the place. Just came from Phillips County, Arkansas, and traveled all over the world. And when I tell people that I speak to individually and before audiences as a guest speaker that we pay $3,000 to $4,000 as a small church of a congregation of less than 50 members, they cannot believe it. There's not one other congregation I've ever spoken to as a guest speaker or as an individual that has stated that they also pay any kind of taxation to their county or state government or the United States government. The third and last point I want to make is, as I just stated, the assembly out in Jobean is the First Baptist Church, where my father's pastor since 1989. It's a very small assembly. Statistically, the average church in America does not have 500,000 people or even 1,000 people has less than 100 people. Out in Jobean, the membership is typical of what you see here in Charlotte County, 60, 70, 80-year-olds. And there's not a whole lot of people that are my age or younger. And what that means is that they get together to do bake sales, and they get together to do yard sales, and anything else they can creatively think of to pay the $3,000 to $4,000 the county demands so they can stay open. Not because they love doing bake sales, not because they love doing garage sales, but because that's how they have to pay the taxes that are demanded of church. And this is a church that sends missionaries out all over the world. It is a church that has a food pantry to the community. It is a church that ministers to many locally, nationally, and internationally in many practical ways I do not have the time to go into. But the bottom line is, every year, this is a great oppression on the people of this community who've already paid taxes personally and now are paying tax again because they belong to a religious organization to express their religious liberty of conscience. Thank you for hearing me today. Please end taxation of the churches.
Thank you, sir. Tom Dobbs, speaking to the Family Services Center, T2. Come on, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm here to simply make a quick statement that I am in support, and several of my neighbors are, of the expansion of the Family Services Center on Gibraltar Avenue. We think that it is a great place to have the facility, and I'm encouraging the board to hopefully make some motions and do some votes very quickly and get that project moving. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michael Zarzano, speaking to R2.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
Honor is something that is deserved, you think. But in actuality, honor is something you earn. And over the years, this Commissioner Board has not deserved honor. That's why we don't obey you when you say to stop clapping. We, the people, are your boss. You are the servant. We are the master. You have forgotten that. And I'm speaking also to these people out here who are your boss on this camera. You're very lucky. Your boss doesn't get to be here this morning because they're out working to pay taxes so you can be the tyrant of Charlotte County.
Zarzano,
you're about to tax churches. That's the agenda item, Mr. Daughtery. Quit interrupting me, please.
Very good, sir. Continue on the church, R2.
The agenda item is you are about to tax churches. Amazing. 3,141 counties in America. Charlotte County, be proud of yourselves, commissioners. You're about to tax churches. Unthinkable in a country that was founded on the gospel of Jesus Christ. Who do you think you are? I will spend the rest of my life smearing every one of your names, rightfully so, that votes for this law, this taxation of churches. And the person that's about to be up for re-election, I hope you make the right decision, sir. I really do. But the fact is, we the people have a weapon that's an equalizer. We've got the ability to expose you now all over the world. It's called social media. So look forward to the future of Charlotte County being exposed nationwide as the county in America that taxes churches. The Bible says God chose the poor to be rich in faith. But you want to take their money away. But you know what? They're richer than you'll ever imagine. And I just pray that this county commissioner board makes the right decision. Because if not, you're going to go down in American history as a disgusting group of people, tyrants that are taxing churches. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pastor McDuffie, you're the last speaker card, and you've got actually 2 cards, but you have to speak to both items under the 3 minutes, sir.
Well, my name's Bob McDuffie. I'm the pastor of the Jobean Baptist Church. And actually, we were already taxing the churches. We've been taxing the churches since the late 1980s when the MSBUs were established in this county. And it was done not just Charlotte, but also Sarasota has the same action. And I just encourage you to remove this off of the churches. It's very oppressive. It's very hard for small churches like ours to pay these oppressive MSBU fees that are actually taxes. I've read that there's a business coming to town. I don't have the name in front of me, but our county is considering to subsidize them to bring this business to town. Well, in order to get jobs, the whole argument, we bring business to town, we don't have to pay taxes, and therefore we are helping you get jobs here in town. Well, you're subsidizing them. And the terminology that you are subsidizing us is just offensive. But you're not subsidizing us. We are subsidizing you. It's a matter of semantics that you're using here. It's what, as O'Reilly was saying, in no spin zone. This is a fact. We are subsidizing the county. And so this is history is on our side. If we're going to operate by history with God-fearing values, we today will remove this, just one of them, the MSBU fire part of it, off of the churches. I think we ought to move all of them off of the churches. And I think we ought to really reconsider the MSBU fees. Now, I only get 3 minutes, so now I got to talk about the sewer. Our church, if this fee, the structure, I don't know what the final structure is going to be, but as it was in the beginning, if you did that, you just put one church out of business. The gates of hell will not prevail against the Church of Jesus Christ. But Charlotte County can put one church out of business because of the exorbitant fees of the sewer system. Now, our church is really a big church. We have 2 toilets that we use on Sunday morning and Sunday night. And our crowd's not overwhelming. And we use it on Wednesday. Now, we got some property around us, and you said developed property. What is developed property? Does that mean, I get 29 seconds to, is that a warning? What is developed property? You mow the grass, that's developed. You got a palm tree on the property, is that developed? I mean, what are you going to tax? If you tax all the property around our church, it's basically for a parking lot and perimeter boundaries. If you tax that, the whole property, I mean, that is a lot of money for 2 toilets, 1 sink, for a church of Jobean Baptist Church. I encourage you not to put the sewer in the Jobean community.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Judith, you have Devin Andrews, speaking also to R2.
I'm the pastor at Winter Garden Presbyterian Church, and I've gone back and forth on standing up to speak or not. And I wanted to thank the commissioners for bringing this issue and Commissioner Tizio for bringing this to the surface. The last meeting, I enjoyed being here and learning from all of you about the history and how different counties and cities handle the taxation. I also want to say thank you for considering your budget and for moving money around possibly to see how we could make this sustainable and not a quick decision, but something that benefits the churches and our community long term. So thank you for taking the effort and the work to do so. I just wanted to share the last piece. It's hard for me to speak to this. I've never done this before. We opened a 24-hour food pantry at Winter Garden. The first month we opened it, we had 4,600 people that we fed. And I'm going to give you specifics. We currently are paying $212 a month for waste management for food that comes to us spoiled. Our utility bill has gone from $15 a month to $223 a month. If we are able to move this money out of ad valorem and non-ad valorem, ad valorem, I forget which way it goes, I think our church would be able to not have to pay about $1,800 a month. a year. And for that, for us, is a huge benefit because then we are able to direct that towards some of the extra expenses that come with running a food pantry. And so I just wanted to give some specific numbers and just tell you thank you for your consideration. And I hope that we're able to come to an agreement together on what will benefit our churches and our community. Thank you.